I love the way you say my name in English, actually.
You do? I was just adding a little flair to it. People think when you speak French, you add flair. I'm adding an English flair. That's what I'm going to call it. You know a lot about the circular economy. You've been in the circular economy. It's your thing. When we say circular economy, what exactly are we referring to? Is it the same as recycling?
Well, not at all. And you're right, it's very important to go back to definition, as a lot of innovations today, a lot of impactful innovations. What is concretely circular economy? I would say very basically that is to fulfill societal needs, such as, I don't know, to eat a building, to drive ourselves, something we need as humans, with the lowest impact possible on natural resources. So we are living in a linear model today, where we extract new natural resources, we take, then we make products, and then directly everything goes to waste. A lot of figures and very interesting examples have been given today. For example, we use a drill for 13 minutes in a lifetime of a drill. 81% of the plastic produced each year becomes waste in a year. It's absolutely absurd. And the idea is to reduce this linear model to be able to shift toward a more circular economy. So how do we do that? Circular economy, it's 3 basic pillars. The first one is really to eradicate at the design phase waste and pollution. So this is the definition of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation that has been quoted before. The idea is if you don't design the products the right way to be durable, then it's too late. It's not feasible to repair, to collect a product and to refurbish a product if it has not been, as we say, eco-conceive or eco-designed. The second pillar is about keeping products and materials in use as long as possible. So once you have extracted the natural resources, once you have done these jobs, your role as a company is to be sure that we will have the maximum efficiency with the products and it will last as long as possible. We make as much as possible business without extracting new natural resources. And the last one, the last pillar, is about regenerating the natural resources because we are consuming 1.7 planets a year. And if we do that, if we build ecosystem allowing the planet to regenerate itself, maybe we have a future. So it's really a methodology, it's not a sector at all. It's not about recycling, it's a big methodology to reinvent any business model while reducing at the maximum the impact on natural resources.
I'm so glad I asked you that question because I think sometimes we can think of it very similar to recycling. It's about keeping something going all the time. But for you to say, actually, we need to start at the design phase to design something that we can then reuse and use for longer. You are a particular advocate of the circular economy methodology, because you say it's not a sector, so thank you for clearing that up. It's not a sector, the circular economy methodology. Why do you think it presents such a significant opportunity for organizations when there's other methodologies that they could be looking at instead?
Well, if we look at the will to become carbon neutral at the European level, 2050, the Green Deal and so on, we talk a lot, and it's a great thing, about energy, about energetical transition. But if we look at the figures, at the right data, we can see that 45% of the CO2 emissions we need to reduce to achieve, for example, the Paris Agreement, so stay below 1.5 degrees. This is directly linked to circular economy because it's about extracting natural resources and producing. So if we don't address, it's like 2 legs. If we don't address circular economy, it's not possible for a lot of companies to be really carbon neutral. If we look at our specific examples, at Manutan, we are a distributor, so we buy products, we stock products, and then we sell products. 90% of our carbon footprint is scope-free. Scope-free, directly linked, of course, to what I've said before, to the kind of product we sell. So if we don't choose circular economy, we're not credible. It's totally greenwashing, and it's not possible to achieve its objectives. In 1972, the year of the Club of Rome, because I know that I couldn't attend, but we had the pleasure to have this incredible person for the Club of Rome this morning. In 1972, we extracted 28.6 gigatons a year of natural resources to then fuel, I would say, the linear economy. After the Paris Agreement, it was 100 gigatons. And we are going, if we don't change, towards figure like 150 gigatons in 2050. So if we don't tackle this issue, if we don't keep products and materials in use, one more time, because when we extract natural resources, we emit a lot of greenhouse gases, just not possible to do a real transition. So we need to use this methodology.
So there's a huge opportunity in terms of being able to create a big impact with a single methodology. What is it about this methodology that, how do you apply a circular economy methodology to be really effective?
Well, I'm really convinced it's that you need to put circular economy at the heart of your business model. Of course, you can have a lot of impactful actions on the side, but if you really want to have an impact, you need to use the same reporting, you need to use the same indicators that your own company does. Before I was a startup, now I'm working at Manutan, we have, of course, monitoring, we have quarter business plan review, we need to fulfill business plans, and if we don't have, I would say, an impact turnover, if we don't use the same terms, the same methodology to assess the business, then we're not changing anything. So we really need to link the reduction of your CO2 emissions and your impact on the planet to your business. And this is the way you're going to use all the energy inside the company to fulfill this mission. I think this is really the most important things to be effective. Then you have, I would say, the importance to embark everybody inside your company. So I said that circular economy is not a sector, but we say it's not at all a department as well. We don't have a circular economy department at Manutan.
Really?
No, not at all. We don't have that. I am in charge of a specific service that we sell, the collection of used electronic products. It's not a department, it's not a support function, I would say. And if we want to do circular economy, we need every department to do so, and this is exactly what is happening. We have, of course, the supply. It's the most important thing because we are a distributor. So there is the offer, and they have a plan with the transport, with a responsible offer, so to be able to sell second-hand products, refurbished products, eco-conscious products with 25% out of recycled materials. Every, I would say, single team and department needs to have a plan, and we need to adapt it to the plan to use all the collective force to do a transition. So you need to embark everybody. It could be also the marketing. You need to create desire on durable products. You need to create desire, of course, on circular economy services. It's not at all a single topic for one single person or team.
So it needs to be, for it to be effective with a circular economy approach, it's not about having it sidelined and it's a department or it needs to be fully integrated into the reporting, into the team, into the culture.
Exactly, and this is why I think it was a good idea to merge with Manutan, because it's quite different from, I would say, the startup perspective. At least I speak from 6 to 7 years ago, when you need to have a very important growth in your corridor, I would say, then to interest more and more clients, but a bit alone. You're not creating ecosystems, you're not creating links, but right now with circular economy is to see where we can be more efficient by creating links and partnerships. So you need every team really to be able to do that, and then to be effective as well, you need to, I would say, to monitor the big trends of the economy. The circular economy is a new economy. And for example, we are helped a lot by the regulation and the regulation. So my previous colleagues spoke a lot about it before. At the French level, with the anti-waste law, we have an article in the anti-waste law that said that 25% of the products, of a lot of products bought by local authorities have to be circular. We have a division dealing with local authorities, so of course it's a big help to have an effective circular economy and profitable circular economy. And it's also about offer and demand. It's not a big word, I would say. Of course, if we are lacking new natural resources, the price is going to go up, and the price of circular or recycled natural resources is going to become more important. So it's about supply chain continuity. We have seen this trend a lot with the energy during the war of Ukraine, of course, but it's exactly the same for a lot of potential natural resources. Pay attention to that, monitor the prices of natural resources. A lot of these are going to disappear, and if you don't look at opportunities and potential replacements of that, your business model is not going to be profitable at all in the coming years.
Well, with materials going, you make a very good point. I mean, unless you have some way of being more efficient with the materials that you use, your costs are going to go up. We heard earlier about circularity in the automotive space, but what you're saying here is it can be, because it's a methodology, it can be applied to all different types of industries and sectors. Can you perhaps bring that to life for us for a little bit, maybe with a few examples?
Yes, well, it's a big area for innovation. So for all entrepreneurs, of course, it's something really desirable, very exciting. We talk a lot, of course, about the big problems we have, but we need to create, I will say, a new social pact around that, a new area, one more time, for creation. And basically, you have the linear model. If you look at the circular model, you can have innovation throughout the whole life cycle of the products. So first, about eco-conception. So I will mention a lot of companies presented today. We have a big circular economy booth, so do not hesitate to go there. A company called Fermat, for example, They create a new carbon fiber to replace a lot of plastics in the automotive industry. If we speak about Manutan, we created a table made out 98% of recycled materials. So basically, we don't use at all new natural resources. And we made that thanks to a partnership with a company called Ares that help people to get a job. It's called professional insertion. So people that have a lot of difficulties I would say, to find a new job because of a lot of personal problems. Then this is I would say, the eco-concession phase. Then you have the reuse phase. So you have a product and you need to refurbish it. It has been mentioned before with the cars, but a lot of sectors you have that. You have Caterpillar, for example, in the big machineries for construction. You have a company called Enea Group in the north of France that refurbish a lot of vending machines. It's not all the time very complicated to be able to give a second life to potential products. This is what we do for electronic products at Manutan. It's about repairing, of course. I invite you to see the example of ReparSeb, a joint venture between social insertion and the Group SEB, the famous Group SEB, where they created in the native arrondissement of Paris a big repair industry, I would say logistical center to take all the products from SEB and to be able to give a second life. Then you have also upcycling. It's about giving a new function to a product that has been taken back. And you have a lot of fun examples as well. For example, in art, you can make pieces of art out of waste. And at the end, of course, we have the recycling industry. This is very important to have a performance recycling industry, but this is the last solution before all the others, because basically you emit less CO2 if you're able to touch the minimum of the product, and if you recycle, you dismantle, you use a lot of machineries, so of course you emit CO2 emissions.
Loads of examples there. I think it's really good to kind of get the creative juices flowing. For people listening today who are really interested in the principles that you've described here around circularity and they're looking to get started in that space, what advice do you have for businesses who are looking to leap into a circular economy approach?
Yeah, well, what we can do to begin with the circular economy approach, first, it's about training, of course. You need to train people, I would say, to know what it is, to have a lot of other examples. It's a bit short today to give a lot of that. So we have incredible consulting companies or training companies for that. We just released a massive open-line course, which is called a MOOC with ESSEC. You can go online on Coursera, it's free. You can see a lot of different examples for that. And you need to create this kind of engagement in your company for that. And then you have a lot of tools to do so. For example, at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, you can use some methodology, for example, a circular economy opportunities workshop, where you can ask yourself basic questions, very basic questions to start to dig into circular economy opportunities. And you have a framework of different circular economy strategies. So there is a list. I have mentioned some of them. You have smart material choices. You have modularity. You have the take back principle. You have a lot of things like this. You can just see if it is applicable to your company or not, to some departments or not. So it's really the first step is quite easy. And one more time, circular economy is not for one single sector. Every company can do that because it's about reducing an efficiency, reducing your impact on new natural resources. Just when you look at a business model, when you want to do a project inside your company, you look at the viability. Your boss is going to ask for a business plan, business model, and investment. Then you look at desire. It's about marketing. Do I have a customer for this? And then you look at the feasibility. Do I have a tech or the operational model for that? You just need to add the circularity, which is the link, of course, with the natural resources. Am I going to use natural resources that are sufficient in the soil? And am I going to use something not going to disappear in some years? Am I going to reduce at least a lot of CO2 emissions with this activity? Or are going to make the problem worse? It's just to add, I would say, the most important one maybe, but just another question in the equation when you launch a new model, a new project, a new innovation inside your companies.
So it sounds as if there's frameworks in place and just a structure for thinking differently about what we're already doing. It's not ripping out the way people do business and applying a completely different approach. You're saying, well, you're doing good stuff anyway. We just need to introduce additional questioning at the stages that you're going through in any event. And
they are very basic questions for any strategist people or sales people. It's really, well, we all know about the design thinking that were born, I would say, in the Silicon Valley some years ago. It's about putting the consumer at the center. It's about being flexible and adapt your product to the consumer. You do the same thing with the resource. You ask exactly the same questions. It's not design thinking. You need your consumer to buy your product. It's also about being resource-centric. It's not very complicated. I'm not an expert at all. I'm just somebody that tried to I would say, to learn the different example, very durable, and then to spread out the word. It's not complicated at all. It's really at the opportunity for everybody. And to begin, it's not complicated.
I love the phrase resource efficient, because I think that's a really accessible way of thinking about circularity. Like, it's about being really efficient with the resources that we've got. When we heard about it quite a bit today, especially in the previous panel about measuring impacts. How do we bring measurement into a circular approach?
Well, for now, I will be bold and frank. It's very complicated. Why? Because you don't have an harmonization on that. So you have a lot of regulation. So under the waste law, you have, for example, a reparability index that will lead to a durability index as well at the European level. You have a lot of companies that try to implement new scores. For example, at Manutan, we are working on a global product environmental score to be able to give the information to our consumer about the durability or not of a product. But we are lacking a lot of data. It's not easy to work with suppliers because if you have really small suppliers, it doesn't know directly what are the data if the product has been made out of recycled material and so on. So it's not easy. You need investment, you need courage as well, and you need, of course, to bring some alliances. And there is no, I will say, big standard for that that has won the battle. So right now, the ISO organization, so AFNOR in France, is working on a new norm specifically for circularity, so maybe it's going to be the answer. But we need harmonization, otherwise the consumer is not going to understand at all what is the information if he looks at different parameters, different information throughout the market. So it's an evolving things. Of course, you have a lot of lobbying, because if you favor a potential product based on a parameter, it could disfavor another company. But it is very important to be able to have a full transparency and to bring the right information to the consumer. There's a big project at the European level, what is called a product digital passport. It's quite incredible. Few people know about that, but it's a potentiality for any consumer to go online and to have a full transparency of the life cycle of a product. Where the natural resources have been extracted, where the product has been produced, if the product has been refurbished once, where, by who. So it's the eradication of the, I will say, pirate waste shipment, for example, in the third world. It's about big transparency, but of course it raises a lot of questions about tech investments, about the feasibility and the possibility for all suppliers and distributors to be able to respect this regulation.
So there's an opportunity there, and whilst we're still exploring the best way to be able to do measurement, there's certainly, it's an easy starting point for a lot of companies.
Yes.
It doesn't require, it's a radical change in thinking, but not necessarily a radical change in approach.
No.
Are there certain companies that you'd say, maybe a circular economy approach can't work? How does a company know whether or not they could implement this approach? Because we've shared a lot of examples here where it sounds like, oh, this could be a quick win.
Well, what I've said is not that it is easy and it is a quick way. I've said that the first step is easy for everyone, and to ask the questions about what could be the opportunities is feasible really for everyone. But the big problem of circular economy, as for any innovation, is not new, is the link between the short term and the long term. We are, of course, living a big inflation. We have a big problems, economical problem for a lot of different reasons. And in this kind of macro context, the first thing you do is to reinforce your current business model. You need to increase the profitability of your existing business model because you know it's working, so it's reassuring, and you don't want to test a lot of things that don't have a lot of proof for a lot of years. And this is a big problem for marketing, of course, because in the long term, you know, because this is science, that this kind of model, circular models, are going to win. One more time, the disappearances of a lot of natural resources, this is science. It's not a potential vision or projection. The prices are going to go up, we know that. But this is not the reason why right now a consumer is going to buy a durable product. You can be convinced of a big problem in the long term, but at the end of the day, buying a not durable product because it's complicated for you to realize the link between the long term and the short terms. And we need to guide our consumers. Sometimes we propose a big durable service of products. Nobody is buying it. At the ESSEC chair, I'm leading also on the circular economy. We have the sponsorship of L'Oréal, EssilorLuxottica, and the group Bouygues. We are proposing a lot of solutions. Sometimes this is a perfect solution on paper. For example, a lot of things about VRAC, as you know. People are not buying right now because you need a lot of consumer change the behaviors. And it's not because you say you have to do that, it's better for the environment, that they're going to do it. So you need to create the best user experience, very digital experience, very cool experience, such as any startups, I would say, to be sure that you're going to succeed and that the durable products are going to win. And this takes a lot of time, of course.
What is your vision for the future? Because I don't want to end on it's a doom and gloom. What, where can you see things going if we really, if all organizations and individuals within companies really committed to doing something different?
Well, I'm very convinced that we can win the battle. And when I say win the battle, it's not at all to be 100% circular. I'm an idealist, but I'm not full. It's not possible at all. You can't create perfect loops in a lot of industries. Even with the extended producer responsibility system, it's not absolutely possible. But Cycle Economy, which is a Dutch NGO, and I know they are at ChangeNOW today, so you can visit them, said that we only need to double the current circularity rate. This is today about 7% only, so to go to 14 to 15%, to be able to reduce the 45% I mentioned at the very beginning of this Fireside chat with you, to stay below, or to try to stay below the 1.5 degrees. So it's quite feasible to go there. The only thing I'm wondering is, are we going to go there in anticipation because of what we say now, because we know it's going to happen, or it's going to be only a reaction to big catastrophe and because or big change of business models. For example, in an industry where you can plan that some natural resources are going to disappear, well, we talked a lot before about the automotive industries. 1% of the lithium at the world level is recycled. Where there are lithium, it's all batteries. So I just want to say, on a strategic point of view, it's quite absurd. So are we changing that right now? Or are we waiting for the total disappearance of lithium to say, oh, the prices have increased yesterday because this is the first day we fight lithium, you know what I mean? We need to find recycled lithium. So are we going to be able to anticipate a bit, or are we going to wait, such as for the war in Ukraine, we all have sober plans the day after the war. So we could plan before the diversification, I would say, of energy. Are we going to be able to anticipate or not? And I don't know the answers.
Well, you've left us with a really big question and something to think about there, haven't you? The good news is we only need to double circularity to be able to reduce the 45%. The pending question is, are we going to wait to be pushed to do it, or are we going to start doing it now? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Pierre-Emmanuel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.